how are you today? Today we will be making a working analog clock in Scratch. Our clock will tell the exact time what is on your laptop or computer, and then it will work according to that. I will be using the offline version, the downloaded version of Scratch for this tutorial. I have already published a tutorial about the offline version, how to download it, so you can have a look at that too. Okay, so I will just go to File and click on New. Okay, so I have Scratchy the cat here. I'm going to get rid of it and I'm going to upload a clock face. You can draw yours too, but I would recommend that you get it from the internet. It's easily available, and just give them credit and you will be done. And as you can see, it does not have any needles on it. I will be making the hour, minutes and seconds needle myself, drawing them here in front of you. Okay, so I'm just going to center it by making X0 and Y0. And before drawing the needles, I want to talk a bit about degrees and circles. So as you can see that I've drawn a circle, and I've mentioned that a circle has 360 degrees. Okay, so this is important. If we turn this circle into a clock face, so 12 here, 3 here, 6 here, and 9 here, we have also a 1 and a 2 here, and so on, so until we reach 12. And between this 12 and 1, we have these steps that our minute and second needles have to take before they reach the next number. So from 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so between these two numbers and between all of these numbers, there are exactly 5 steps that a minute or a second needle have to take. Okay, and we have to remember that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So there are 60 total steps from 12 to until we reach 12 again. So how many degrees are there? We have to do a bit of maths. That is 360 divided by 60. What is that equal to? 6 degrees. So this means that these tiny steps, every time the minute needle moves, it moves 6 degrees. Now this is super important. Okay, we have to rotate our minutes and seconds needle according to this. We have to remember that every time it moves one step, it rotates by 6 degrees. So let's get down to the actual clock. Okay, and remember this 6 degrees, this important number. Okay, so let's quickly draw our seconds needle. Okay, so I will be using this square tool to draw it. I always make straight lines using it. And another important thing is that when you're drawing your minutes and seconds and hour hands, make sure that they are not centered like this, as I have taught you before, but their edge is in the center, okay, of this bullseye, okay, this gray bullseye. This will make sure that they will rotate around this point, because that is what a clock hands do. They rotate around a certain point, and we want to make sure that they rotate around this point. Okay, we will correct its position later. So I've just drawn a rectangle, making sure that it is straight. Let me make it a bit shorter. And I also want to draw a triangle. Okay, so for that, let me make this a bit bigger, and this. So that's nice. And let's group the whole thing together so that we are able to move it together. Make sure that it's exactly where the black circle is in the center of the clock, and make sure that you have drawn it like this, that its edge is on the bull's eye and not somewhere else. Otherwise your clock will not work. Okay, so let's reduce its size a bit. 50, we can actually make it 45 too. So this is 45, and this is our seconds needle. So let's name it seconds, and let's duplicate it. And this is our minutes needle. Change the color of it a bit so that we are able to distinguish it. And I'm going to make it slightly thicker, because this is our minutes needle. It's not grouped, so let's group it again. And this is okay. And let's bring it to this point 2, okay? And let's duplicate it again. And this is our hours needle. And the hours needle is always shorter. And let's first of all group it and make it a bit shorter. And let's put this one in the correct place too. Right now it's pointing towards 90 degrees, remember? Degrees, so it's pointing towards 90. And when our clock will start, all the needles will be pointing towards 12. So we will make them point towards 12, and that is when the degree number is 0, okay? When the flag is clicked, all the needles will be put to the direction, set to the direction 0, okay? But right now, just so that I know that they're aligned correctly, the direction is 90 and I know that they have been set, they look good. So let's code them. Another important thing is that we will be using the system time, the time on your laptop or your desktop. We will read that. Yes, there's a way of doing that in Scratch. We will read that and we will first set the clock according to our current time. Okay, so that's a fun thing, that you have a clock that tells you the actual time. First, we will start with the seconds, and there are two things. First, read the system time and set the clock accordingly. And the second thing is then start moving the seconds needle after every 1 second has passed. Okay, so how are we going to do that? When flag is clicked, the most important thing, set the direction to 0. Okay, so let's see. Our seconds needle is pointing to almost 12. So let's fix that. That's a bit better. First, we are going to read the system time. We go to sensing, and if you notice, we have this current year block. Okay, so we are going to use that. Okay, and we are going to choose seconds from here. So what are the current seconds? It will get it from the system clock. Okay, and what we want to do is that whatever the current seconds are, remember that every point on the clock means 6 degrees. So we want to rotate our seconds needle by whatever the current seconds are, multiply by 6. Okay, so we are going to go to motion and we are going to get this turn lock, and we are going to go to operators and we are going to get the multiplication block, and we are going to multiply the current seconds by what number? 6, because every step on the clock means 6 degrees. Okay, now it has been set, but it has to move too. So we are going to put a forever loop because it has to happen all the time. I'm going to go to controls, forever, wait 1 second, and then turn how many degrees? 6 degrees, because those are the degrees that are between each step. Okay, so have a look at this. See, our seconds needle is working. Now, how about we add some sound to it? So go to sounds, a clock ticking sound, that is so traditional. So just go to choose a sound. If you notice, I'm using the offline version of Scratch and everything is here. So this is a clock ticking sound, too many tickings here. So I'm just going to choose 1 tick. So I'm just going to remove all the other ones. And so I have only 1 tick. And I'm just going to play that 1 tick sound. Okay, so go to sounds and start sound clock ticking every time it makes a turn, a degree, 6 degree turn, the seconds needle. Okay, so this is it. This is seconds needle is done. So let's get to the minutes needle. So what happens to the minutes needle? The first thing first, point in which direction? Upwards, that is 0 degrees. So motion blocks point in direction 0. So this is set. Same initialization code as the seconds clock, that is read the minutes, the current minutes, and turn the minutes needle that much. Okay, so again we are going to go to operators, get the multiplication block, sensing, get the current year block, make it minutes, and we go to motion blocks and we get the turn block. So, and make sure that you're turning clockwise, okay? It's a reason why it's called clockwise, that is turning towards the right, okay? So, we are going to turn the current minutes multiply by 6, same as the second needle, because our minutes needle also moves the same way. But our minute needle will make the next step only after 1 minute is over. So how to check for that? So there's a very nice way of doing that. You go to seconds and you check here. When the seconds needle points towards 12, that means its direction is 0. Remember, that is the direction that we said it in the beginning, that it is pointing up. This means the seconds needle has completed its journey and 1 minute is over. 60 seconds have been done, 1 minute is over. So when the seconds needle will travel from 12 to 12 again, it means that 1 minute is over. So it should send out a message to everyone, whoever is listening, that is 1 minute is done. So what are we going to do? We are going to go to control and we are going to use this if block, and if our direction is what? 0. So we're going to go to motion blocks and get this direction. If this direction is 0, then this means that 60 seconds have passed and minute needle should move. Okay, so we are going to send out a message, and the message is that minute done. Okay, and when our minutes needle gets this message, it should turn how many degrees? 6 degrees. Now you should remember that. Okay, so go to motion and we get the turn block, the turn clockwise block, and turn 6 degrees. So let's see that. See, our seconds needle is moving, our minute needle is set according to the current time, which is, incidentally, it's 9:42. See, it moved. And yes, it's not 9:43 here because we have not worked on our R needle yet. So let's get down to that. When flag is clicked, point in direction which? 0. That is the first thing, okay? That is, it always starts from 12 because that is a good starting point for our needles, okay? The digital time on your laptop or desktop is a 24 hours clock. I mean, you could have set it to a 12 hours clock, but you have to assume that the digital time could be something like 23:40, okay? So we have to consider that, okay? And the second thing is that there are two conditions. First condition is that the digital time is either 12:30 something or 0:30, okay? So in the hours, the digital hours that you get from the system, you either get a 12 or a 0. In that case, you just have to move the hours needle a certain number of degrees depending upon the number of minutes. The seconds and the minutes needle always make those 6 degrees jumps, but the hours needle moves differently. There are these 5 steps between 12 and 1, and it completes this journey in 60 minutes, okay? From 12 to 1, it will take these tiny jumps that are even smaller than 6 degrees, and we have to figure out how small they are. So how many steps are there between 12 and 1? There are 5 steps. And remember that each step is equal to 6 degrees. So what is the degree, the measurement of the degree between 12 and 1? It is 30 degrees. 6 multiplied by 5 is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, so we know that the hours needle has to cover these 30 degrees in how many minutes? In 60 minutes. If it turns 30 degrees in 60 minutes, in 1 minute, how much should it turn? 30 divided by 60 is equal to 0.5. That is just half a degree turn. So depending on how many minutes the current time gives you, you have to multiply that by 0.5 degrees in the situation that the time was 12 something. Time was 12:30, so 30 minutes multiplied by 0.5 means 15 degrees. Okay, so that means if it is 12:30, then our hour needle will be pointing exactly in the middle of it. Okay, and that makes sense because it's halfway through, because after another 30 minutes it will be 1 o'clock. First condition is that time is something like 12:30 or midnight, like 0:30. Okay, so in that case we're going to just first check. So we go to control and we get the if block, and we have two conditions. Either the time could be 12:30 or it could be 00:30. Okay, we need two equal to blocks. Okay, so if the current hours, get the current block and we set it to R, and we make it if the current R is equal to 0 or it's equal to 12. Okay, so we put this inside this OR block, and we don't need the if block because we need the if else block, because we have to consider the other situation too. Put it here. So in this case we only have to make our hour needle move according to the minutes, and as you know that 1 minute equals to 0.5 degrees. So for example, if it gets 30 minutes, it means 30 multiplied by 0.5 is equal to 15 degrees. So we go to again the multiplication block and we make this 0.5 and we get the current minutes. Okay, and we turn it that much. We just have to worry about how much the hour needle has moved according to the minutes. Okay, so get the current minutes and multiply it by 0.5. So this is for the situation where our hour is 12 something. Okay, so it will then move the hour needle somewhere between 12 and 1 according to the number of minutes that have passed. Okay, so this was the situation in which the hours are equal to 0 or 12. The second situation is that the hours are not 12 or 0. I mean, that's not either midnight or midday. It's something else like 2 o'clock. It could be 22 o'clock. Okay, so in that situation there are two possibilities. First possibility is that it's greater than 12. Okay, so we are going to go to control and get the if else block, and we are going to check if it is greater than 12, the current hours. So get the greater than block. If the current hours, we can just duplicate this one. If it's greater than 12, then we are going to make a variable called hours. If the current hours are greater than 12, we have to subtract them. So if the current hours are, for example, 22 o'clock, so we just minus 12 from them and we will get 10 because that is the time on the analog clock. But first get the hour, set hours block, and we are going to get the minus block, and here we have 12 and we subtract 12 from the current hours. Okay, and in the second situation, our time is not greater than 12. In that situation, just set the hours to the current hours. So no change at all in the hours. Current hours. Okay, this is done. Now we have to actually move the hour needle. We haven't moved it yet. First of all, remember the number of degrees between 12 and 1 or 1 or 2 is 30 degrees. So whatever the number of hours are, just multiply it by 30 and turn the hour needle that much. Okay, so just go to motion and make sure that it's below the blocks. So turn, first of all, the number of hour degrees. Okay, so the number of hours are set and multiply it by 30. So we go to multiplication block and we get hours from here and we multiply it by 30. Then we have to further turn according to what the number of minutes are there, and this is exactly the same code, so we are going to duplicate it and just put it here. So in this we have to consider the number of hours that have passed to, for example, 1, 2, 3, okay, and then we turn according to the minutes, and here we were turning just according to the minutes. So the clock is set for our initial time. Okay, so if I just look at it, so it's right now exactly 10 something, and on my clock it is 10 a.m. too. So that is good, but it should move according to the actual clock too as the minutes go by. So when 1 minute has been broadcasted by the seconds needle, our hour needle should move how many degrees? 0.5 degrees. So when it receives the message, minute turn, it just needs to turn 0.5 degrees. That is the tiny degree that it travels when it is on its way between the different hours. Okay, so just turn it 0.5 degrees. Okay, and that will make sure that our hour needle is also moving according to the actual clock. Okay, it's a working clock. A few minutes ago it was 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. and now it's 10:03. I hope you understood this class. Do subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Share my video with your friends and family. See you in the next class. Have a good day and goodbye.